to do things also, it comes from my father. My relationship with my father has been all built with hand making things, all sorts of things. And I became at home. It's not my husband who fixes stuff. It's me. Like whenever something is broken, I'm going to bring the tools and fix them. But funny enough, like you said, I do, it's by meeting you and having this conversation with you that I realized that the most powerful memories that I cherish very much are actually related to handmade things. Of course, it starts with the grandmother. Actually, my grandmother on my mother's side was in Algeria, we have a huge culture of fashion, of embroidery, and it's like with golden
Threads,
embroidery.
yeah.
It's a little bit like very similar to Turkish. Actually, even the Turkish, it comes from the Ottoman Empire, but the Turkish did not leave. It's interesting. It traveled all the way to Algeria, where I come from, but in Algeria, it stayed that culture, right? Of
And it
embroidery.
grew, yeah.
Yes, and India has a lot of it. And my grandmother actually did all the dresses of my mother's wedding. And she became also a teacher who taught embroidery.
Wow.
And at some point in my childhood, I had to live with my grandmother for different reasons. That Algeria was going through a terrible time, and my parents had to put me with my grandmother to be more in security. Basically, it was during the terrorism.
Yeah.
And I lived with her for a while, and it was so beautiful to see her. She had young students who would come to the house, and she would teach them how to do the embroidery. And I don't know if you ever have seen this tool. It's this big wooden tool that you put between your legs.
Yeah.
It's like a meter or 2 meters, and you slip it in your legs, and then it basically holds the fabric, and you have this like little big needle to get things through the fat
material,
material, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the memories that I have with my grandmother. But interestingly enough, my stronger memories with handmade was with my father, because he used to be really good at sewing and stitching. And I remember for one of the powerful memories was for Mother's Day, we have designed together a whole set of tablecloths and napkins that I've been embroidering. So I did the embroidery, and he helped me with stitching, the fabric and things like that. It was amazing. I remember it was I have no idea why I chose to put snails. I don't know why I chose snails. So it was full of embroidery of snails. But that was, I do have a lot of memories with that. And funny enough, because we moved so much, I think we lost those things. But the memory is still here, right? Even if it's handmade and it's something tangible, those memories are there, and that never goes away.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you shared it, because that's like the reason I do this business. For me, when I started, it was conducting those handmade business was just a runaway from being with 2 kids and getting crazy, because my ambition, like professional life, was dead. So I just needed to go out and talk to some people who are not talking about poo or gluten-free food or something like that for kids. And that's how it started. But when I started peeling those layers, like onion layers in my business, growing within this business based on handmade workshop, I discovered what a power and what a beauty there is. Just like you share it, we come back to those things that actually create who we are, those memories of our granddad, our grandma, our mom, and the time together and the things we created, and this feeling that we can do something, we can create it. We are creators, right? And that's, I guess, those are those plants that were seeded within us when we were so little. We were just unconscious what it's going to grow, and it grew into entrepreneurship. I strongly believe that it gave us this tool. So that's the reason behind what I do what I do. And I kind of see that now it's also growing to those meetings or those interviews, just like we talk about it. Now, even talking about handmade seems to convey this message of being together, spending time together, and kind of trying to create something new out of, just being together, just talking together. So that's really amazing. And I'm really glad that you shared this story because, for me, and I guess for our audience as well, that's so amazing to live in so many countries and how you elastically, shifted within the business and obviously with, flats or like where you live. And how is this for you? Did you choose like this place where you're at, like that fancy place, right? That's conscious choice, or you're still on the way because the portable business seems to, carry this message that you're going to take it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm probably going to move soon again. And New York has been the place where I lived the longest, 7 years. I've never, ever lived 7 years ever. And I think this is probably going to be the most difficult one emotionally, because it's so good to actually just have to sit put for a bit. So we don't get to choose, where we go all the time. So it really depends on the job of my husband. But in my case, I'm so glad that I don't have to worry. I can take whatever I do and continue my routine. And as soon as I land, I continue my business as if nothing happened. But I also can choose. Even without the travels, I realize, because I'm trying to plan 2021 and it's going to be a big year for us. I'm like, it's not because I have a portable business that I also have to stretch it and work every hour of it. I can decide the revenue I want to make next year and how long I want to work. And when is the time of the year I want to, be off to be able to have a smooth transition as well. And you can make those decisions when you have a portable business. You can't do that when you have a 9-to-5 job, or a brick and mortar business, or a non-portable business. So that's something I'm really grateful about. So let's see where the wind takes us. We'll see.
Yeah, that's really precious that you share this idea of a portable business, because it seems when I'm working with handmade artists whom I help to, create the foundation of their own businesses, because usually it tends to be just about create stuff and sell stuff. And that's not a portable business or scalable, or actually not even sustainable to like live decently.
Yeah.
I always tell them that, we as women, majority of my clients are women. It's not about, having this business to show the whole world how independent you are. And that's why I'm so grateful that you're sharing that we can make those decisions to, follow our partner, like maybe move because he moves and he, I don't know, got promoted, or just decided like altogether that we want to change places. And this idea of having at least basis, this foundation of a job that we could decide how much we want to work, when we want to work, that's really something liberating. For me, that's something that builds your independency, not this idea that, you have to grow, I don't know where. You can just choose that you just want to chill out with your guy and have a holiday in December, for example, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you live that, right? You're living that. You can choose to live your life the way you want. But I want to warn everybody, it takes work to get there, right? It's not something that happens from a day to another. For you to enjoy the fruit of your labor now, you had to bust your behind off, just to be polite. So, right? So it takes some really dedication at the beginning, but once you have the right systems, you've built the right foundations, that's when you can allow yourself to kind of be strategic and take this to the next level and say, okay, now that I've done this, I've proven my concept, I have traction, how do I want to design a business that is aligned with the lifestyle I want? But at the beginning, it's not going to happen on its own. There will be some hard work to do.
Exactly. And there's also this one last issue, and I promise I won't take you long, but I just wanted to touch on this issue because you talked about the identity on the beginning, and for me, it's really easy to create this tribe of, like-minded people. Like we all love handmade, and basically more or less we're from Poland, or we're Poles, but living abroad. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of common ground, and it's easy to glue us together. But what I've noticed in your community, there's also this glue that puts you together, this vulnerability, because you open-heartedly share the story of, your background, but also share the story that you decided to, follow your partner because you just love him, right? And you made those decisions that were maybe not so comfortable for you, or you needed to, move and take the business and start all over somewhere else. But still, you created this tribe of people who are connected with this idea that, I want to have the business that I can take it with me wherever, whenever I want to go. How do you do that? How do you do that?
So we got disrupted. Could you repeat the question? How do you?
Yeah. How do you do that? That you just glue those people together? Because it seems you've got people from, all over the world, but you're still with this idea of portable business connected with your minds. How do you do that?
So I think the key, and this is my marketing background that will speak, but as well, like the human side of the whole thing. And for me, to create a tribe and a community is, especially behind a business, it starts with really identifying who's that, like what is that niche, right? What is that specific type of people? And sometimes it doesn't have to do anything with countries. It's about, we're human beings, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of common things and dreams that we have, even across borders, first of all. But on top of it, there's a lot. I think there's over 50 million expats in the world. So that's my target audience. Although it's been growing, I don't focus only on expats anymore, but this is how it started. And when you're an expat and you live on the move, it becomes your identity, right? And it is a culture on its own. So as strongly as when you live in one country, you develop a certain identity, when you are a global nomad, you are part of a tribe on its own. Because when I go to an event and we recognize each other right away. It's so interesting. It's like, I can't explain it, but you immediately know when somebody is a nomad versus somebody who's just traveled once, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It shapes your identity. Travel creates a whole new breed. It's like a whole new breed of identity where it's actually not related to all the traditional things of a country, but more like this global identity. And that's what I love about it. This, like, that you can connect and feel as if you know each other, even if you come from different countries, because there's a set of values and there's a set of mindset and behaviors that are very common. So I didn't have to do a lot of work there besides targeting them. Yeah. But as I grow, the world is moving towards that, right? Even you, like Agnieszka, you're not a global nomad, but we have a very similar mindset, right? Yeah. We connect, and even if we're from two completely different cultures. So I think it's a lot to do with knowing, it's important to know who do you want to attract in terms of your values and your mindset. That's really, really important. And it doesn't have always anything to do with countries. Yeah. And I think the one thing also is that the people I attract are people who want to make an impact, who want to serve. And a business is not just a way for them to make money, although money is very important. Is a way to make a change in the world. Is a way to help people. And I think that's also somewhere where we also align, right? So it doesn't have to be about expatriation, but it did start there. It's just we discovered along the way that we have more than just travel in common.
Yeah, that's so true what you say. And about, earning, that usually it's always about the money, because after all, when we're making business, it's all about the money. But it seems that now we're so privileged in those times that we could actually make those decisions and decide what we want to do with the money we earn, how we earn it, whom we serve, whom we help. So creating business seems to be this. For me, I never had it in architecture. It was always about, delivering the great project. Obviously, you want to be the best you can for your clients, but it was always about, flat fees or like earning more and more and more. And there was this glass ceiling somewhere. And now earning more money means impacting more people, having this influence on others, like helping other women to make more money and have the impact as well. And you have it the same in your business. And that's so fascinating for me. That's why I was so happy that we could share it and talk about it. Yeah.
Same. I love that. Yeah.
Amel, I do want to let you go, but I just have to ask this question. Like, I always, ask people, and we didn't prepare that. So our listeners will have the true